before we continue, could we just check, do we have any BSL users in the audience? If it's okay to get a few house lights up so that we can see any gestures. Otherwise we'll see Katie at the next one. It's bar time, yeah, it's definitely tequila time shortly. Thank you, Katie. So before we start the discussion, I just want to say a quick thanks to Martin Pickles from London Animation Club, who helped us supply a lot of the behind the scenes talking bits that we saw here, which was really interesting to see a lot of Emma's behind the scenes thoughts on her films. I was there at most of them, I think. Apart from the one I remember at the end where she was talking about this festival actually. It's where we did like a live link up on Zoom. It's when I used to run Brighton Animation Club, and we did a live link up between Brighton Animation Club and London Animation Club. I think that's the only one that I wasn't there at. So I want to say thank you to Martin for helping us out by supplying those clips, and also thank you to her team as well. So thank you for sharing the library of films for me to choose from, and for being here today. So I wanted to start off with just a few sort of general questions. So firstly, could you all just share with us, how did you actually get involved in being a part of Emma's team?
Yeah, I met Emma at Middlesex University, where we both worked, and she came in as a sort of lecturer, just a one-off lecturer at first, and obviously I got to see her amazing work within that, and I always thought to myself, wow, I'd really love to work with her. She's great. And then she came on board as a lecturer for the second year animation, and I just did my classic thing of getting to know people and talking to people, asking lots of questions, and I remember saying, she told me about her film that she was working on, Beware of Trains, which she's going for funding for, and I said, oh, if you ever need any help, I'd love to help you with it. Yeah, it'd be great to get on board. And then I got a call from her a few years, or maybe a year later, saying, would you still be up for working on my film? Yeah, definitely. So I came on board as an assistant producer, and I ended up being a producer as well on it.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you.
So I was at Middlesex at the time, and she was a visiting lecturer, and she was great. I always enjoyed when she came in and did her little reviews, and she was always really funny and open-minded and stuff. So we graduated sort of in the heat of COVID at the time, 2020. And then a bit of a gap went by. I'd heard that she had got funding for the film, which was really exciting. And then, yeah, she just sent me an email and was like, do you want to come help? I liked your stuff at uni, which was amazing. Like, that was straight out of uni, so that was really exciting. And yeah, it was just really nice from her, really great to work with.
Same spot with Luke, we graduated at the same time. But Helen already had the vision for the team before anything happened, like COVID happened. It was the beginning of last year at uni, and it was an event, a screening, uni screening. She comes to me like, are you free after graduation? I said, Emma's like, in 9 months. I'm not sure, but maybe? Yeah, I've got maybe money. I'd like you to animate on my film. I was like, great. And then it was a blessing because we were supposed to start May 2020, and then we actually delayed it to September that year. July actually started off with like a couple of sessions, and then yeah, it was very good timing, but also bad timing at the same time. And then yeah, we worked together for almost 2 years, a year and a half. We joined us a bit later, but it was basically the same time. Yeah, this is how it started.
Thank you. So when you shared the library films with me, I didn't allow myself to watch The House of Love, because I was like, I want to watch it on the big screen. So even though I had it in all the print traffic, I was like, I'm not allowing myself to watch it on a laptop at home. And it was absolutely gorgeous, and I'm really happy that I waited and saw it on the big screen. And it was really nice for me to see. So an excerpt of that film was in the AR exhibition in 2024. If anyone was here, you might remember it was House of Lovers. It was the jumping sequence. So it was really nice to see it, how it then got developed into the final film. So I know that I think all of you worked on that. So I was just interested if you could share with us how the production happened in the aftermath.
So I guess classic Emma, she'd been working on this film for maybe a year or 6 months before, and during that time she got her diagnosis, aggressive cancer, and throughout the process as well, throughout her illness, she was working on this film. She was determined, and she spoke to all of us during that time and asked us to, would we be on board, would we help make it. Of course, we all wanted to work on it and do this for her, and then she unfortunately died, passed away, and we brought it together. So I can't remember exactly how it happened, but we convened, we made a chat, we made sure we all got together and discussed it, having all had discussions with Emma about it. So we had to kind of gather all this information that we all had and work as a team. Big part of that was Coco, Cripps and Julian, and her son Oliver, who did the music. And so with that kind of collection of knowledge and information, all the copious notes and detail that Emma left, it started and it happened and came together. She had already animated about a third of things as well. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of animation from Emma in there, and having the team, having worked on Beware of Trains so closely with Emma, it was picking up the pattern that you all had there, but it was very different. I can let you guys talk more about that.
Yeah, so Emma, she did leave quite a lot of material, a lot of planning that she did, storyboards and multiple versions of storyboards, and some descriptions as well. And she had sort of come to us individually. We had a little meeting with her when she wasn't very well, and she sort of went through some details, and she was very clear with what she wanted. I think in that mode she was like, I need to be as efficient here as possible in telling you what you need to know. So she gave us a little rundown, and then when we started, because we didn't really have a director at that stage, we all kind of directed it together a little bit, which was a bit odd. And then Coco kind of largely took over, her daughter, which was great because Coco knows her work inside out and knew a lot of her instincts when it came to certain scenes, things she might not have written down, but obviously we had to do it in a certain way. But of course you can't know exactly what she would think. She was kind of there in the background telling us what to do a little bit, it felt like sometimes. But we kind of had to interpret things, and we knew it wouldn't be exactly how. I'm sure she would have notes, so many notes on the film. But you just got to kind of get on with it, which is what she did all the time. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, all of this, and what could I say? I think it felt like having a puzzle with lots of material and finding a direction for it. And it was we really started off as soon as. Unfortunately, she passed, and it was literally 2 weeks later we had our first meeting, and it was pretty shocking, because we had, prior to that, 2 weeks before, she kind of briefed us. So she was really hoping that she could animate with us, and so it was like finding the picture with what we had, but the picture wasn't a specific puzzle picture that you have at the end. We had to sort it out ourselves. It was really fun because it was a way to process what was happening together in a creative way, and giving our best of our animation skills and filmmaking. I think.
So my next question that I wanted to ask you, and I want to share some stuff as well, is I wanted to ask you what your favourite memory is of working with Emma, because I was thinking before I put together this panel of like, I have so many fun memories of Emma, and I was trying to think about them, and I still laugh out loud now when I think about once I was at a Women in Animation screening, and Emma just stood up and she made the point of like, why do we always have to learn animation from Richard Williams? Why do walk cycles always have to look like this? And she stood up and she started to demonstrate a Richard Williams walk cycle. It was hilarious. I still laugh out loud whenever I think about it now. But one of the things that I really loved about Emma is not just her humour, she's absolutely hysterical, but also the kind of like fearlessness in terms of like pointing out what needs to be said. And I really appreciate that, especially in like British culture. I was at so many events where she would suddenly stood up and point out what was wrong with the AV. And I remember being really paranoid when I first set up this festival about Emma coming. So those of you who were here from the beginning might remember I was in the basement of Latest Music Bar when I first set up this festival, and I was like, oh no, what's Emma going to say about this screen? So if you've not been to Latest Music Bar, it's the basement. The capacity was 70. This is back in 22, 23. They were just fold-up chairs. You had to try and like go between someone's head in front of you, and she said nothing, and I was like, okay, good. And then I went to Fabrica after that, which was a step up venue, and then she complained about the screen, and it was really funny when I got the BAFTA endorsement. And we put the post out about it, and the comment was like, hopefully you can sort the screen out now. Fabrica. And it's like, it's the venue, it's my venue height, it's nothing to do with me. But I'm really happy to have brought Emma's work to this venue, to the Brighton Dome, and I think that she would have been really happy to see her work on a big screen here, hopefully, and have no qualms about the AV. But I was wondering if you'd like to share a memory that you have of her, of like working with her, or a funny memory of like a screening.
Yeah, I guess I have lots of memories, but I mean, when we worked together, I was mainly online because I was producing and it was COVID, so I didn't go to the studio as much as everybody else. But when I did go, she was just so welcoming, and the video of the studio at the beginning is a really nice visualize of this space. And I just really remember going there. I used to cycle all the way across London, from North London to South to Brixton, and we would have our like day meeting, and everybody was hanging out there, and it was just like, I guess it was really special memories of having lunches and bringing loads of food, and it would be a really special day, I found, doing that. But yeah, I think that's a more general memory of just being very welcomed into her space.
Shared.
Which was incredible, yeah, and full of magical things.
Yeah, amazing.
I feel like the strongest memory, one of the strongest, was when I first kind of clocked her, was when she came to teach us. She did a little review of, I think it was one of our first projects, animation projects. I remember she watched what I'd made, like silently, and didn't say anything.
That sounds so scary.
It was a bit, well, I didn't really know what she was like at the time. And she kind of paused, and I got notes from a couple other people, and she was really thinking the whole time what she was going to say. And it came to her, and she said, "Have you ever thought in the background of having a naked man?" I feel like that would really do something. And of course, I was a very excited student at the time. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe that's what you're supposed to do. She was really selling it, and she was kind of half joking with me, but oh my god, it was so funny.
And did you do that? Did you put?
No, I didn't in the end. But yeah, she was really up there, like up for sort of pushing it and sort of putting whatever on screen. So yeah, from that point on, I kind of got her vibe, and it was really great. So that's a strong memory.
I think I have a collection of little memories when we were traveling with BIAF trains. Summer 22, we went together to Zagreb and Annecy, and there's always a moment when she managed unwillingly to become the protagonist of the moment. Especially, remember in Zagreb when they took the filmmakers to a museum to see, I don't know, posters of the exhibition. It's an exhibition about the 50 years of Zagreb Animation Festival. but I don't know, the whole attention was because of Emma she was giving a whole speech in the cafe of the museum, and because she was gesturing so much about something, holding her coffee like this, she managed to fall. And all the people in the circle had to catch her. It was like a beauty of a scene, like an angel falling in this crowd. And she fell for 5 seconds. She kept like flapping her arms. Nobody I've seen in my life could fall like that. She managed to make a whole film of just herself falling as talking to a crowd of people about we don't know what. But yeah, it was really magical to go around with her that summer.
That's so funny. I was with Joanna Quinn when I got the news. In fact, it was Joanna that told me, because I was on a jury at Anima Syros, and Joanna was there doing a workshop, and she told me, and I was quite pleased that I was like with Joanna, and like Joanna told me. But then we got if anyone's ever been to Anima Syros, it's on an island, Syros, and then you've got to get the ferry back to mainland Greece to then get a flight. And on the ferry back, me and Joanna and Les were just sort of like talking about our like memories. And I remember Joanna telling me about, I think she was at like a BFI screening, and apparently just suddenly stood up and was like, why does the screen look so shit? It's a BFI. But I loved that about her. I loved the fact that she would just like call things out. And I've just thought of another funny memory. When I used to work at the University of Brighton, and we did a fundraiser for the students' degree show, and I just set up the festival, I think it was 23-24, and she was obviously one of the award winners, so I cut a best of BIAF reel, and it was pay what you can, and anyway, so she showed up, which was like really kind. That's another thing, she was so generous with her time. So she showed up to do a Q&A on the upstairs of Presuming Ed, where you came once when I did the monthly one, and did a Q&A at the end, and like, it was so funny. She cracked me up. She was talking about, I think one of the questions was about ideas. How do you develop your ideas? And she just said something along the lines of like, well, you know, if you don't have a good idea, what's the point of doing any of this? Why would you want to do animation? And I was like, it's true. Like, animation can be so painful, you know, like it just takes so long. And yeah, like what is the point if you're not like communicating an effective story or a good story? I want to open it out to the audience, so I want to ask if anybody would like to either share a memory that they have of Emma, if you knew her, or if not, if you'd like to ask a question to the team. And I'm actually going to pass around the mic for this. I know we haven't done that before, so there's going to be a roaming mic. So if anybody would like to share a memory or ask a question, if you want to raise your hand.